some of the information that I'm going to present to you is going to make some of you mad as hell. You know the hell where people go that don't know Jesus? You know that place, H-E-L-L, hell? Okay. I'm not using profanity, but it will. It's going to make you angry. It made me angry when I found out some of this information has been hidden from us. And I know that the people that are listening to me now and that will hear this message, both black and white, and I'm going to basically, I will be mentioning other ethnic groups, but basically in America, right now and for some time, our big problem has been this black and white thing. I don't have timing. And like I said, if you disagree with what I'm saying, then like I said, you don't come here and turn the TV off. It's not for you. It's only for the people that have ears to hear. And God has some people that are ready to hear this. Okay? Now, a lot of this problem, it's historical and it started a long time ago. You didn't cause it and I didn't cause it. But we're living in it, in the aftermath of it. And a lot of the things that are going on is because nobody really knows how it all started. See, if you don't know how something started, then you can't make any repairs to it because you don't know its origin, see. So we're going to have to go way back and deal with some stuff. And I'm telling you some stuff, I got some stuff to throw on you, to lay on you, that if you have curly hair, it will straighten your hair. And if you have straight hair, it'll put a curl in your hair. And if you don't have no hair, it'll grow some hair. Yeah, I kid you not. All right, now, enough of that. I was born in Santa Monica, California. I've lived in the Los Angeles area all my life. When I came into the world, we lived at 1619 Broadway in the city of Santa Monica. It was primarily at that time a white city based on its population. There was a small area of about 8 square blocks where blacks lived. There were some other scattered blacks in other parts of the city of Santa Monica, but the largest concentration of the few of us that were there were in about an 8 square block area. And when I came on the scene, things were separate. There were certain areas in Santa Monica black folk didn't go. In fact, in Santa Monica, we could not go to the beach. We could not go to the beach, play on the sand, and go in the ocean. There was a certain section that they had set out for black people. It was about a block wide, and that was it. And you couldn't go to the right or to the left. You had to go right in that one area. Well, again, when I got here, it was like that. So, you know, me, I'm a kid. I just accepted. I figured this is the way it must be. Well, I saw around the city, I saw white churches and I saw black churches, and then there were a few Hispanic churches in certain parts of the city, and the twain never mixed. Again, I thought this must be the way it's supposed to be, you know. Well, I was not brought up in what you would call a Christian home. I had no real exposure to the church, so I didn't know that much about it, but some of the friends that I went with or palled around with, their parents went to church, et cetera, et cetera. So I heard some things about it. I heard little names here and names there and certain things like this, you know, like Jesus is the only way and Jesus is the way and all that kind of stuff. And I had a lot of questions. I was a very inquisitive person, still am, and I would ask questions, but I couldn't get any answers. Nobody had any answers for me. I couldn't figure out how come us black folk have to live in this area? How come I can't live up there across that particular boulevard? All white over there and all black over here. I didn't understand that, and nobody really seemed to have an answer. They just said, well, that's the way it's always been. Well, I mean, you know, I don't know, so I just, you know, I accepted it. So anyway, I grew up in that environment, had no real exposure to Christianity, heard about it, but didn't have any exposure to it. Then as I grew older, finally I married, and my wife was a Christian. I went to church with her while we were courting because I was trying to make points. And I wanted her and her parents to think that I was a nice guy, which I was, but I was a nice heathen. You know, I wasn't a nice Christian. I was a rank sinner, just a rank sinner. And of course, her church didn't teach anything, and so she didn't know that she shouldn't be involved with me from a biblical perspective. But God will help us when we don't know. He'll help us when He knows we don't know. It's when we know and won't do that God ain't gonna give you squat. He won't help you then. Okay, and so anyway, we finally married, and so I got saved, born again. I accepted Christ in a tent revival meeting, like a circus tent, old raggedy wooden rickety chairs and sawdust all over the floor. But I had a real live experience with Jesus Christ. I was born again, and in the back of the main tent, they had the what they call the counseling tent, where people that came forward in the invitation would be taken to be counseled with and instructions given to them about the decision that they had made and what it all meant. Well, I went back to this tent, and it just so happened the way that the people that were there that night, everybody basically was white. It was just 2 or 3 of us that were black. And so my counselor was a white person and happened to be a minister of the gospel, happened to be a teacher in one of the Bible colleges here in the city, in Southern California, and also had a daily radio broadcast on the radio as a Bible teacher. And so we talked, and he asked me why I came forward, and I just told him, what had happened to me. I mean, I was really overcome. And so he asked me, did I have any questions? He explained some things to me, then asked me, did I have some questions? And I did. I had some questions. I said, I don't understand why and how this Jesus that I've just received, that how He's the way, the truth, and the life, how He's the answer, and yet everything is segregated. Is heaven going to be like that? Is going to be a segregated heaven? Well, he took the Bible and showed me from the Bible that segregation was the will of God. He showed me from the Bible that it was God's will for the races to be separated. And see, if you don't know the Bible, it can be misconstrued that. Now, I had something happen to me that was very traumatic, and I'll explain that in a little bit. And that really awakened me and was the catalyst for me to go ahead and to prepare this teaching. Because as I've traveled all over the world ministering the word, I find that people have these problems and nobody wants to face it. Everybody wants to just shun it off as though it didn't happen and not really get down to deal with the nitty gritty, the real stuff on the inside. And so that's sort of a background of how I started. Now, in 1990, August the 29th, I received a letter. And I quote, "Dear Pastor Price, I hope you actually get to read this letter yourself and not a secretary who reads this and then responds with another computer-generated letter. In May, I attended the West Coast Believers Convention in Anaheim, California. You preached on faith worketh by love. Pastor Price, I need to ask you to forgive me for not loving you. I did not love you because of your skin color. I did not want to listen to you because of your skin color. In all actuality, I hated you simply because of your skin color. I asked the Lord to forgive me, and I know that I have been forgiven of my bigotry from the Lord. But Pastor Price, I would also like to know that you have forgiven me as well. It would be greatly appreciated. You also prayed at the end of your message for us as a body to receive prosperity, promotions at work, etc. I cannot remember the rest of the prayer. Anyways, I wanted you to know that I received a promotion at work. Along with the promotion came an increase in pay. Praise the Lord. Thank you, Pastor Price, for praying that prayer. Thank you for your time and your consideration. I'm looking forward to hearing from you at your earliest convenience. Your brother in Christ, P.E.R." Well, obviously, I forgave the brother. I couldn't hold anything against him. I couldn't be a Christian and hold something against the man. You know, I knew he did it out of ignorance, but at least he asked my forgiveness and I gave it to him. Then in July, that was 1990. Then in July of 1995, Charisma magazine printed an article entitled, "When Love Crosses the Color Line." In August of the same year, in a section of the magazine called Letters, some response to the color line article were printed. And I quote, "I am highly offended by your articles on interracial marriage. It is wrong to marry out of your race. Jesus knows this. Since it lowers the physical standard in races, what about the offspring? Name withheld. From Centinel, Alabama. Now I want you to listen to these because these things are symptomatic. And if you're wise and astute in listening, you'll hear where our real problems are. Another letter that was in that same letters section of Charisma, and I quote, "I was so disappointed when I received your July issue promoting interracial marriage. And if that wasn't bad enough, you said Moses married a Negro. If you take the time to study your history, you'd see that there were different races in Midian at different times. What you publish is just another lie. We marry after our own kind if we want to be pleasing to God. May God open your eyes and show you the truth." End of quote. Mary Merrill from New Hebron, Mississippi. I guess she has never read Numbers 12. Turn there quickly. Numbers 12. Because, see, this is a part of the problem that we're having in America. Has been the problem since the inception of this nation. Now, notice what the lady said. When they said that Moses married a Negro, this lady said, "What you publish is just another lie. We marry after our own kind if you want to be pleasing to God." See, this is where this thing all got started. Notice how God is interwoven with this business of people's personal, individual prejudices. Now, let me also stick a pin here and say this to you. There are three sections to this series: race, religion, and racism. And I'll be dealing with each section. Actually, this is my introduction. But in racism, I'll be dealing with it, and I'll be giving a definition. Now, a lot of people have a different slant on these things. But let me tell you what I mean when I use the term so that you'll understand where I'm coming from. I basically want to zero in on racial, ethnic prejudice, okay, that has been captured under the overall umbrella of racism. And so most of the time on the street when somebody says racism, they mean racial prejudice. And when we say racism and racial prejudice in America, we primarily mean black and white. Now that it goes other places, I'm aware of that. But I'm talking about the big thing, the big issue here is this black and white thing. Okay, and this letter, this person's response, you get an inkling of that when you talk about marry after our own kind. The first letter which said, what about the offspring? See, this is the issue that nobody has wanted to deal with because America is shot through with this idea that black people are inferior genetically. They are inferior based on their blood. And this is why there's this big thing about interracial marriage. Now, I'm going to get into that a little while later. I could give a care about interracial marriage. I'm not even interested in it one way or the other. I'm not pro, I'm not con. I'm neutral on the subject, but I got to get to that subject because that's the big hang-up that most white folks have about black people. That's the big bugaboo. Because blacks are inferior, therefore their blood is inferior. Because see, way back in time when this thing was first hatched here in this country, they thought that the disposition of a person and their quality and their character was transmitted in the blood because they didn't understand genetics at that time. So they thought this was a blood thing. So if you mix white blood and black blood, since black blood is inferior blood, then you take it and put it into superior white blood, then you taint the white blood and the white blood ain't pure anymore. So we got to keep these races apart. Sure got quiet. So it's going to get worse. But here, Numbers 12:1 says, then Miriam and Aaron spoke against Moses because of the Ethiopian woman whom he had married. Now, if I understand Ethiopia is not made up of white folks. Ethiopia is made up of black folk, and Ethiopia is on the continent of Africa, not Europe. Africa. And Ethiopians are as dark as me or darker. Okay? And Moses married one, and if you notice very carefully, if you read about it, God didn't say anything about it. In fact, Aaron and Miriam got on Moses' case about it, and God struck Miriam with leprosy. Moses was God's man. And yet, there it is right in the Bible, he married an Ethiopian. Now again, I'm not into interracial marriage right now, and I'm not promoting it. I have a section here, I'm going to deal with it. Hopefully I get to it. But this is what's coming out of these responses by these people. And I'm sure that people that are watching me right now, maybe some in this auditorium, you got the same kind of attitude. And that's where this whole thing stems from, see? White people in America, see, some of you don't even know this, but your ancestors taught it, and it's been promulgated down through time. Very subtly, it's not big neon signs that are hung out, you know what I'm talking about, but it's in the family, and you get this idea, and you're brought up this way. Many, not everybody, I know that. So you don't have to write me a letter and tell me you were not brought up that way, but some have been brought up that way. You know it.
Thank you for staying tuned and watching the amazing speech by the black pastor. The powerful sermon is breaking waves online after the black pastor delivered a passionate message about race, racism, and the role of faith in bringing people together. Addressing the diverse audience, the pastor challenged anyone who uses race to justify hatred or division, arguing that prejudice has no place in genuine religious teaching. He also encouraged black communities to remain resilient, pursue justice, and refuse to let bitterness define their future. The pastor reminded listeners that faith should inspire compassion, accountability, and truth, not discrimination. He urged people to confront racism honestly while others recognizing the shared humanity of every person. His message quickly sparked discussion across social media. Supporters praised the sermon for encouraging honest conversation about difficult issues while others debated his perspective and interpretation. Whether people agree with every point or not, the central message was clear. Lasting change begins when people reject hatred, seek justice, and treat one another with dignity and respect. If you enjoyed this commentary, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell for more thought-provoking discussion on faith, history, and current affairs within America. Now tell us in the comment section, can faith play a meaningful role in helping people overcome racial division? Would love to hear